Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday, the 17th of June, 2021. I hope you're all COVID-free and healthy today. I hope your household needs as far as food, shelter, clothing, and health are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, seeking to save lives. Blessings upon those that do the dirty work of picking up garbage for us to keep our places clean. And upon those that do the unsung hero work of making deliveries on bicycles, scooters, cars, foot for our convenience. Also, double blessings on those trying to deliver boys and girls, men and women, babies and children from sex slave operations and human trafficking. Blessing upon those trying to deliver them, and curses on the ones that are supporting this disgusting industry. Finally, blessings on those that are helping the homeless, 500,000 in the United States alone, multiple millions around the world without a roof over their head and no safety net. And so we ask double blessings on those that are trying to alleviate such ones and on the ones themselves, for theirs is the kingdom. Today, we're going to begin our series or talks on possible draft picks for the New York Knicks. And today I'm going to give like an overview of who I think the Knicks should pick. And then we'll go into specific players later on. But before I do that, let me just say a couple of things. Number one, the Knicks needs right now. The Knicks needs are a wing player, a good wing, solid two-way wing, and a point guard. A point guard that could play defense and score. Okay, a point guard that can play defense and score. That's what we need. Okay, so anyone talking about drafting a 4 or a 5 or trying to trade for a 4 or a 5, unless they're a backup, we don't really need those guys. Okay, I know some of you are nitpick about some of your own players and piss on your own players and crap on them, but Mitchell Robinson is good enough. Taj Gibson is good enough. Obi Toppin is good enough. Randall is good enough. Norvell Pell is good enough. And then, I don't think we're going to be able to keep Nerlens Noel, but if we do, he's good enough. And if you want to replace him, like I said, you got a Kelly Olynyk that might be sitting out there. So you don't need to go get no rookies or draft or waste draft capital on that. Okay. So we're going to talk more about that. Secondly, I picked just yesterday, I'm picking Philly to go to the Eastern Conference Finals and win. And they choked yesterday. I was totally shocked. They choked against Atlanta and them. Now, I got to give props to that leprechaun, man, because I was watching the game very closely yesterday. Again, I turned off the sound and I'm just looking at the game from the backboard and watching it, on NBA. I didn't go on TNT and see all of the hype and stuff and the music. I just wanted to watch and analyze the game. And Trae Young, I have to say, I made a mistake in terms of his development. Like when he came in the league, he could shoot, he could get to the hole, weak on defense. But last night, what I saw from him was, which I didn't see, I hadn't really checked before. I just assumed he was going to be the same Trae Young. He could still obviously shoot. And that floater is probably, on Chris Paul's level as far as the floater. And I ain't fronting that. I mean, to put him in the same category as Chris Paul in any capacity is amazing. But what I saw last night, he stripped Ben Simmons twice. Stripped him. Like, call a cop, somebody robbed him. That's what it was. And I was like, oh, shoot, that's Trae Young. And so his defense has improved. I was surprised, So, and now I understand, how they beat the Knicks. But I still, because I'm a New York fan, I'm still going to go to my grave saying Frank Ntilikina could lock that little leprechaun up. I'm going to go to my grave saying that. Period. Until he proves otherwise, which we haven't had a chance to do since Frank hasn't gotten a lot of time. But I still think Frank Ntilikina is the kryptonite for most point guards in NBA defensively, if you give him an opportunity to really play some minutes. But that's my Frank thing for the day, because I'm Frank Hive. So anyway, let's move on. Now, the Knicks need a wing and point guard play. Okay, that's what we need. What we got on the wing right now is RJ Barrett, who's a fixture. He's going to be a 2 or a 3. He's our guy of the future. He's 20 years old, going to be just turned 21, actually, a couple of days ago. Happy birthday to RJ. And so he's a young boy going in his 3rd year. His development has been consistent from his first to the 2nd year. Like I said, give him 2 more seasons and he's going to be a real problem, all-star level for RJ Barrett. So that's a fixture. Any you're talking about trading him, get off NBA 2K, leave the pipe alone, and let's move forward, okay? So that RJ's our wing guy, one of them, okay? Other than that, we had Reggie Bullock, who really is a solid wing and obviously a good defender, but he is not a starter on an Eastern Conference Finals team or a championship team. So, and I want to tell you, we're looking for Eastern Conference Finals next year. I'm not saying the Knicks going to win the championship. I think we'll probably lose in Eastern Conference Finals if we get there. But that's the next step in the progression. And I can't even discount Tom Thibodeau and what he might do with whatever he gets coming in this year. So I'm pushing for us to get to the Eastern Conference Finals next year. We may not make it, but that's my pushing. So Reggie Bullock is not that guy, but he is a solid bench piece, a second unit guy for that, coming into your second unit. Spot up shooter, good defender. I like him for that position. So we need a wing. We had Alec Burke, he was playing jack of all trades, little point guard, little two guard, little wing. He was doing all of that this year. I'm not sure we're going to be able to keep him as well, because of what else we have. But I think we'll keep one of those two guys. Okay. Now, in the free agent market, and again, I want to stress, don't talk to me about players that are not available. Okay. So like if you got a restricted free agent that, for example, there is no way in hell that Toronto is going to let Gary Trent Jr. walk. It's not going to happen. They just traded Norman Powell for him. And Norman Powell's a solid player. Okay? So with that in mind, don't think about Gary Trent Jr. He's not coming to the Knicks unless he decides he wants the Knicks because he got traded to Toronto. Now in that scenario, that's different. If he tells his agent, I want to go play for New York, that's a different story. But unless you hear that, forget about it. Okay? He's got a solid future in Toronto. So guys like that, or DeJounte Murray or Jonathan Isaac, these are good players, but they're not coming here because their teams ain't letting them go. Okay? Or Duncan Robinson, forget it. So you got to look about players that are unrestricted that would want to play for New York. Okay? So and then as far as point guards, I'm taking Chris Paul off the list, man. I mean, after what happened, first of all, he got the Suns in Western Conference Finals. Now, hopefully he'll be able to play. But apparently he chose the Suns because the Suns, Phoenix is very close to California. He got a big house out there. His family is out there from when he played with the Clippers. And so he really doesn't want to come to New York in terms of move. The only reason I kept his name on the list prior to today is because of his relationship with Leon Rose, which is very tight. But I don't think that's going to be enough to pry him from Phoenix. I think he's going to end up re-upping with Phoenix. So let's not even think about him either. So you're talking about wings that are available. We talked about Kelly Oubre already. He's available. Other than him and Norman Powell, there's just not a lot out there as far as availability of wings. You got Otto Porter. I don't want no parts of him. He just comes off a $100 million deal and he barely averages double figures and he hardly plays. See, that's another thing, y'all. Just telling you. You got to look at a player's injury history. You will be very frustrated, especially in Knicks Nation, as crazy as some of y'all are. If you signed a player to 80 million, 70 million, whatever, and you find out he's not playing half the game because he's always hurt. He sprains this, he sprains that. You'll be very upset. Think about that before you start mentioning some of these guys. Otto Porter is such a guy. Okay? So is Malcolm Brogdon. These cats stay hurt. So you're going to need them in the playoffs and they're not going to be there. And you'll be very upset. Think about that before you start playing NBA 2K with these guys. Okay? So there's not much available as far as wings. You got Kelly Oubre, which to me is the best, and you got Norman Powell. After that, you're talking about Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott is a solid bench piece. He is not a starter. Okay? He's actually, to me, a step below Reggie Bullock. They're about the same age, but he's a step under Reggie Bullock. And I didn't already told you, Reggie Bullock is not your starter if you want to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I like Doug McDermott. I like him as a good bench piece. I do not like him as a starter. We're looking for a starter on the wing. Okay. We're looking for a starter on the wing. Okay. So really, there's just not a lot out there. Justice Winslow. Here's another guy that's fool's gold. Talent out, he could play the point guard. He could play the forward. He could guard 1 through 5, really. But he's always hurt. That's another cat. He hardly plays. Soon as he signed the deal with Miami, you've been hurt ever since. Okay, and so these type of guys, no, no good, no good. NG, no, So we're really talking about two guys, Norman Powell and Kelly Oubre, and from reports that we have been reading, Kelly Oubre and New York Knicks have mutual interest. So the only question now is, what's the price for him? Okay. Now, I don't want to pay $20 million a year. Let me be clear. I don't want to pay $20 million a year for Kelly Oubre. 17 maybe. All right. I would go with that. Even 16 because he ain't made that yet. So I would give him 17 or 16 over a 3-year period because that's the trial period. Let's see if you're working out with us. Okay. So I would not pay 20 million for him. I wouldn't pay 20 million for Powell either. Same thing. 16 million. Powell coming off 11. So 16 million maybe, something like that. But then you sign either of those guys, you got a starting wing right there in the NBA that can help you go to the finals, Eastern Conference Finals, especially Powell because he's been there before. Okay, so and both of those guys, are Madison Square. Especially, I think Oubre is more Madison Square Garden than Powell. Okay, so there's that. So you don't have a lot available. So in the draft, now as far as point guard, we already went over that. So you're talking about Kyle Lowry, you're talking about Dennis Schroeder, you're talking about Spencer Dinwiddie, you're talking about Devontae Graham. These are the guys you're talking about as far as your point guards, right? I'm not really putting CP3 in there no more because, like I said, I don't feel like we got a realistic shot at him. But Lowry, Graham, like I said, Lowry, Graham, Spencer Dinwiddie, Devontae Graham, who else am I missing? Kyle Lowry. Let me look at the list again. Let me look at the list. Yeah, like I said, I'm not looking at Chris Paul. I'm not looking at Mike Conley either because he hurt too much. But Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Lowry, yep, Lonzo Ball. That's what I'm missing. Whew, Lonzo Ball, and he's restricted, as is Devontae Graham. So there are possibilities. Devontae's probably a more stronger possibility than Lonzo because Devontae's team is in a small market, as is Lonzo's, but you're talking about LaMelo Ball on that team. You're talking about Rozier, who they're paying on that team, and you're talking about they just put a ton of money into Gordon Hayward. They still got to pay Miles Bridges. They still got to pay PJ Washington. So I don't think we're talking about, a problem if we sign Devontae Graham to $12 million. To me, he's the most economical guy of the guys that we're talking about. You could sign him to $12 million, and I like Devontae Graham. I think he come with a chip on his shoulder, Madison Square Garden. I think he could ball. Okay, but I've been telling y'all, anybody on the comments, it would take a lot of balls, no pun intended, a lot of stones for the Knicks management to sign Devontae Graham. When you're talking about Lonzo Ball's out here, you're talking about Lowry's out here who's already won a chip. When you're talking about that, it would take a lot of gonads, man, to sign. But I would definitely not be crying if they signed Devontae Graham, especially for $12 million a year. That's not gonna hurt us at all. Okay, and we still got plenty of money if a guy like a LaVine comes available next year, or a guy like a Kawhi wants to come on board. I'm not even mentioning Kawhi because I don't think he's leaving California. That's why I'm not mentioning him. If I don't mention the guys, those are the reasons. Either I forgot, either I don't think he's coming, or I don't think he's worth pursuing. Right? Because I don't want to waste time. I'm not into fantasy basketball. That's my problem with some of y'all. Y'all like to play fantasy ball, and I'm not downing y'all. Y'all like to talk about all these hypotheticals. I don't. I want to look at who's going to improve my New York Knicks and help us win next year. Who we can really get. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, what's realistic? So Devontae is realistic. Okay, Lonzo's realistic depending on the price. Now you telling me, if I had a choice now, and you telling me I could get Devontae Graham for 3 years 36 or 3 years 42, or Lonzo Ball for 3 years 60 or for 4 years 80, I'm taking Graham. I'm trying to tell you, I'm taking Graham because he could play to me just as good as Lonzo Ball, and he's not going to cost you a whole lot of money. Okay, and he's relatively young. He's 26, so I would go with that if it was me. Okay, now. That brings me to the draft. So we talked about what the Knicks need. Okay? So please don't waste your time looking at 4s and 5s in the draft. We don't need that. Okay? We don't. We stacked at that position. We need a wing that can shoot and play D and a point guard that can defend and shoot. That's what we need. Okay? Now, we must also understand that we're playing with Tom Thibodeau. He don't like playing rookies at all. So whatever rookie we get, unless it's Cade Cunningham or a top 4 pick, see, if you get a top 4 pick, Tibbs will be pressured. He has to play that guy if he's a top 4 pick. The Knicks are not going to pick somebody in the top 4 for Tom to play this I'm not playing rookies game. But anybody else, forget about it. Okay? Unless they come in camp and bust it out. You can earn a spot with Tibbs like Quickly did. I mean, you could earn some minutes if you that good. Come on with it. Like you're talking about this cat Luka. Okay, now I wanted to break this to y'all too. Sorry about that. Not to change the subject too much, but I want y'all to understand something. The National Basketball Association is comprised of the best basketball players in the world. And I'm not being prejudiced when I say that. I think most of you understand that. The strongest, the fastest, the most talented, the highest IQ. Okay? These are the best of the best when you're talking about the NBA. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at a Brazil league or a Euro league or college, because this is not any of those. This is the NBA. And I'm saying that to say just because a guy looks like a star in Brazil or in Europe, that does not mean his game's going to translate to the NBA. Maybe he's smart, maybe he's good, maybe he's not. But there's no guarantee, okay, that it's going to translate to the NBA. And I like to remind y'all, remember Jimmer Fredette? Jimmer Fredette, there's been a lot of Jimmer Fredettes. But remember that because there's a guy that was at Utah, wherever, Brigham Young, wherever he was, killing in college and couldn't get his game off in the NBA. He could go to China and score 50 a game, but not in the NBA. It's a different league. So with regard to this cat Luka that we just signed, I'm not saying he's a scrub. I'm not. I'm saying don't get too hyped on him until first he got the first step is Summer League. He should be killing in Summer League if he's all that. He should really kill in Summer League. Because Summer League is college players that haven't really played in the league or guys that have been trying to get in the league and haven't gotten there. So that's the first step. Then he's got to kill in camp. Okay, when guys are trying to get a job. Okay, and he's got to impress Tom Thibodeau. So I'm not saying he won't be able to do that, but I'm not going to hype him. I'm not even going to count him yet. He got to prove. If he comes in and he does his thing, cool. But if he doesn't, I'm not surprised. Okay, so I'm not on the Luka hype yet. I'm not going to do that. I'm not like that. I'm more realistic. Let's see what he got. If he's good, fine. Come on board. We can use much talent we can get, but I'm not hyping him yet. I'm not counting him for any minutes. I hope he's as good as the cat that they got in Denver. I hope he is. I really do. It'd be good for us, but I'm not counting it. Let him surprise me. That's the way I think about it. Okay. He's got a high IQ. He plays solid ball. He's a very solid player. I'm not going to front. He's a solid player in the league he's in. What is it? Argentina? Yeah, something like that. But that ain't the NBA, y'all. You know, he may not even be able to get off in the NBA. They're much faster. They read much quicker. They're stronger. Okay. He's got to, so I don't know, but we'll see. Okay. That's that. So we need a point guard and we need a wing. In this draft, the Knicks are picking at 19 and 21, and then we got 2 second rounders as well. Now, I think most of us can agree, there's never 100% agreement in Knicks Nation about anything except we love the Knicks, right? But the Knicks do not need 4 new young players. They just don't. We got 4 guys that are young guys that we got time for this year, and they were battling for minutes. Okay, IQ, Obi, Mitchell Robinson, and then you got RJ, as I mentioned before. Nobody else could crack. Even Frank Ntilikina, who's a proven pro, whatever you think about him, and he's an elite defender, he had trouble getting minutes. So you can't just get 4 new guys and expect them all to come on. So that's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. And then some of you are talking smart in terms of, look, let's package all 4 of them and move up. And I heard the Knicks are talking about doing something like that, or package them in a trade. Yeah, if you're going to get Zach LaVine, you can have him. Okay, but I think we could keep one of them. I'm saying like we could keep one of them first rounders and get us a point guard and let the other ones go or package them or however you want to do it, right? But we can keep one of them. And the two guys that I'm highest on that we don't have to move up to get are Butler from the guy from Baylor, the kid from Baylor. His name Jared Butler. I like Jared Butler. I like Davion Mitchell too, but I like Butler better. I just like Butler better. His all round game. Now Mitchell's moving up the draft boards, and you guys understand that every year this happens. There's guys that move up, guys that drop, and guys that impress in the camp and can't play, and guys that don't impress in the camp and end up playing really good. There's all of that in the draft, so it's a big crapshoot. But all around, without us having to actually move anywhere, I like Jared Butler and I like Ayo Dosunmu. I like both of those guys and like them for the same reasons. Both of them defend. Both of them play with high IQ. Both of them are 21 going on 22, so they're not exactly kids, but they still got upside. They still got upside. And they can both, be groomed as you are bringing in whoever you bring in the point guard spot. If it's Devontae Graham or whoever it is, if it's Lonzo Ball, you still can groom these guys, to play the point, right? So, I like those two overall. There's a lot of other good players. Like, obviously anybody in the top four, you're talking about Cunningham, Mobley, Suggs, and Green, and even Kuminga, you're going to get some talent there. In top five, you're going to get some talent. After that, it kind of falls off. And even with those guys, like Green, I feel like on the wing is the most NBA ready right now. He's 6'6", but he's athletic as all, right? And he's small. He's not even 180 pounds, so he's a little skinny, but he's going to naturally put on weight. But as far as NBA readiness of the wings, I think he's the most ready on the wing. Kuminga is also good, but he's only 19 and he's going to be 19, I think, this year. So, he needs another year, I think, in the G League. A little bit more, just a little bit more. I'm not saying he's a scrub by any sense, but you just need some more patience with him. And of course, Evan Mobley is going to be a really good player at the center spot. We don't need a five, and then of course there's Cade and Jalen. Those two guys, Cade Cunningham is the deal to me. And this is how I'm going to make it very simple for you. How I decide a guy is really the real deal. How I decide a guy is the real deal is if when you're watching him play, just like watching a man playing against boys. When you're watching him play, like he's toying with the guys he's playing with, like he's so much better that he has to keep himself under control by just trying to just take over. That's Cade Cunningham. Okay. He purposely keeps his teammates in the game. And that's a tremendous asset. He's a selfless player, but you can see both physically and his reaction time, his IQ. He's a man among boys. You can see that when he's playing. That's why I think, he's worth getting, and he would play for anybody because he's that good, right? I don't think we have any shot at getting him. And then Suggs is not the man among boys. He's the young boy that you could just see all his upside. He's got tremendous upside, and he's already really good. Okay, that's what I see with Suggs. I tell you, I compare him to Jason Kidd. He's really good. He's got a lot of upside to go. And he's only Jalen Suggs is 19, gonna be 20. Both of these cats are young, but Suggs is gonna be really good. He's not, to me, he's not the man among boys that Cade Cunningham is. And in fact, just speaking to that, that's what I mean. Mobley is like that in college. He's a young kid, but he plays like a man among boys because he's just totally dominant on the college level. See, that's what I'm talking about. Then you talking about something. If you got a guy, he's in Argentina, Brazil, and he's playing like that. He's a man among boys. Nobody could deal with him. That was Luka Doncic when he was 15. When he was 15 in Europe, that was him. Right? So you knew you had some because he's playing on the highest level he can in Europe and dominating at age 15. Okay, so that's why you knew he was going to be good. So I guess I call it the man among boys syndrome. So if you got that, if you see a guy like that, that's a dude you want to look at. So there's nobody else in this draft like that, but there's a lot of really good players in this draft. So we're not going to be in the top 5. We just not going to be there. But, and I would, if I was going to trade up, they'd have to be really high on Corey Kispert. And I think Corey Kispert is going to be a tremendous shooter. We need wings that can shoot. He wouldn't get any time under Tom Thibodeau. He's not ready defensively. That's the bottom line. He would get exposed on the defensive end in the NBA. He's a really good shooter though. So I don't know what would happen. I don't know how they would do that, but I wouldn't think he would play right now. Okay. So if the Knicks scouting sees somebody they really like, cause something they're watching closer than I am, obviously they're sending people to watch these kids. If they see somebody they really like, they might want to trade up and get them. But I'm thinking we don't need to do that. We can stay where we are and we can get either Ayo or we gonna get Butler. We can get one of those two. And I'll be happy with either one. Take the other 3 picks, trade them for something. Whatever. Move up and then use that pick and trade something else. I would do that. But I would keep one of them 2 first rounders we got. Keep one of them. And then trade the other one. And so, you could even keep 3 of them. Trade 3 of them and add the Dallas pick for 2023. And you can offer that for a Zach LaVine or somebody, that you think might help you. But, I would keep one of those picks. We don't need to trade all 4 of them. We can pick a point guard that we can groom. Now, some of you are real high on Sharif Cooper. Too small, not enough defense, no jump shot. Very quick. You know how many quick little dudes have come in the NBA? But you know what? You got to have a shot. You got to at least be able to shoot, or at least, even at that height. Like 2 of the best defenders at the guard spot in the NBA are Kyle Lowry and Chris Paul, and they're both small. Neither of them, I don't think, over 6'1". So you could play defense, and we talked about Malachi Flynn also. You could be 6'1" and play some defense, but this kid doesn't. Okay? He's a project, and you're going to need, if he makes it, he's going to need a couple of years in the G League. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Y'all remember Jared Harper? We got Jared Harper in the G League. He's better than Sharif Cooper. He shoots the ball. He can run the team. His defense is a little bit suspect, but that's why he's not in the league. So, yeah, Sharif Cooper, please. No. So I'm saying is that, there's a lot of good prospects though, but those 2 guys, we ain't got to do nothing. We ain't got to trade with nobody. We could get one of them 2. Butler from Baylor or Ayo. Both of them shoot the ball very solidly. They project to be at least average 3-point shooters in the NBA. Both of them play good defense. Both of them high IQ players. Both of them are mature players. Both of them work very hard. Especially Ayo, I'm not as familiar with the work ethic, honestly, of Butler, but I'm assuming you don't get to the Final Four like that out of nowhere unless you work very hard to get your game up. But Ayo has worked very hard. He was thinking about coming out last year. He didn't. Worked on his game and came back better this year. That's what I'm saying. They both have upside. And, they'd have a shot to earn minutes. They, in the summer league, and in the training camp. See, that's what I'm saying. With this cat, Luka, he'd have to go against one of these dudes, cause they're going to be competing for minutes, and it's going to be a dogfight. Now, maybe he's good enough to do it. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. We're going to find out, but I'm going to use him as a surprise. He'd be gravy to me. If Luka ends up becoming a revelation, he'll be gravy. That'd be great. We picked up one. That'd be fantastic. But I'm acting like, but let's move on. If he surprised me. But I'm putting my money on the guy we're going to get, whether he, like I said, Devontae Graham, Lonzo Ball, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyle Lowry, Dennis Schroeder, one of them 5 dudes, I'm putting my money on that because that's going to help us get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I know some of y'all don't like Dennis Schroeder. I do. We just have a difference of opinion. I think Schroeder would be fantastic on the Knicks, but that's just me. But if we don't pick him, we pick one of them other 4 dudes, I'm fine with any of them guys. Cause look, man, just remember, we went to the 4th seed with Elfrid Payton as our starting point guard. A guy that was unplayable in the playoffs. So, almost not even the playoffs. The last 2 weeks of the season, he was losing his time. And I'm not saying, again, let me not break too hard on EP. EP's got heart, man. He plays, he tries his best. He's just not the starting point guard on a playoff team that's going right, making a deep run. He's not that guy. Okay, he's just not. But any of the guys I named are, to me, any of the guys I named could do that. Okay. So, yeah, that's where we at with that. But I'm looking at Ayo and I'm looking at Butler. Those are the two guys I think. Now, Chris Duarte out of Oregon is a good forward. Now, the problem with Duarte is he's 24. And you say, well, why is that a problem? Okay, the problem that some teams have in drafting a guy that's 23 or 24, like Obi, is generally speaking, they have generally, not all the time, but they have reached their ceiling. So what you're seeing on the college level is what you're going to see in the NBA. And like I said, this is not college. So it's hard. Like a lot of y'all were high on this cat from South Carolina, Charleston last year, Grant Riller, and I wasn't, and that was the reason. He was 24 years old and he could dominate in college. He was not going to do that in the NBA, and he hasn't, as you can see. See, so there's no upside. There's no upside. You are getting what you get, and that's it. Now with Duarte, that's the problem. Now the good thing about it is that even on the college level, he's a good defender, high IQ, and can hit a nice jump shot. And that's what I'm saying. So as a wing, he might be able to do it, but you'd be taking a risk. I wouldn't want to use this pick on him. I would like him to be a second rounder for me. But that's what I'm saying. I like him. He's a nice solid wing. Now, why would we take our Obi? And he's older too. Well, you look at Obi's history. Obi was a late bloomer. All the way around. He was a late bloomer. He grew late. The height that he has now, I think 4 years ago, he was, under 6'2" or something. Now he's 6'9". So he grew late. He came along late. He developed late. So you kind of know you got some more upside with Obi. You got some more upside with him. And he's still at this stage. Like I said, if he didn't play for the Knicks, if he played for Cleveland or Minnesota, I'm telling you, he'd be averaging 18 this past season. So he's good. So that's what I'm saying. And he got a little bit more upside to go. Whereas you get a lot of guys in that position, you're kind of seeing their ceiling. And that's the problem with the older dudes, right? You're wondering how much they got left because and the reason that's important, obviously, is you're coming again from college to the NBA. So you're going to need some more ceiling. You're going to need something, especially if you weren't that man among boys when you were playing. Obi was, when he played at Dayton last year, he was like a man among boys most of the time, right? If you don't have that, then you're going to need to see some ceiling, some place where you can get better. And Duarte, I'm not sure. I like him, but I'm not sure if we're going to see any more out of him, right? So as a wing player, to me, in our draft area, he would be available. But I would rather get Jared Butler or Ayu Dosunmu. I would rather get one of them. Dosunmu especially because this draft here, Tankathon got him going at 34. No, where they got him going? They got him going at 29 to Phoenix. We could get him. I mean, I think we can get him. And I'm surprised they got Jared Butler dropping to 19. They got the Knicks picking him at 19. Hey, if we did that, that's great. I would do that. Okay. But I don't think we should give away all our picks. Let's draft one guy that's a strong wing or a strong, point guard that we could groom. Okay. Like I said, as far as the wing, the rest of these guys, I know some of you are high on the Bulk Knight. He's weak defensively. I don't know if he can pick it up defensively, and he's a volume shooter. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm being very critical, but we got to watch what we're doing right now. So, Jalen Green, to me, he's, as far as wings, top of the game right here. I mean, you're not going to get any better in this draft than Jalen Green. So if we were able to get him, that'd be good, but I don't think we have a shot in the top 5. I really don't. They're talking about getting somebody between 10 and 15, and there's nobody. I mean, Moses Moody, he's all right. I like Moses Moody. Obviously Davion Mitchell, but I like Butler better than Mitchell. And then you got Josh Giddey. I am not high on Josh Giddey. I think he's overrated. I think his game would not translate. I think he would get shut down. I said the same thing about LaMelo last year, and I was wrong, but I said there's 50-50 chance he could be a bust or a star, and he turns out to be the star. I don't even give this kid 50-50. I just don't. Okay? He'll be all right. He might, but he's too slow. He's too slow, man. He's too slow. He would get, in trouble in the NBA. So now I'm not high on Josh Giddey. I'm not high. Franz Wagner is ranked too high. He's a second round pick to me. That's what I'm saying. There's nobody here that really blows me away. I like Moses Moody, but like I said, if we just stay where we are and we can get a Jared Butler or Ayo Dosunmu, why are we worried about these guys? I think we can get something there. I think we can get a good player there. So, to me, it boils down to, we're going to go through these guys. We'll talk about them as draft get closer, but we're talking about really on the point guard spot, Jared Butler and Ayu Dosunmu. That's what I'm looking at. realistic people we could get. We could groom that I think could play in the NBA. And above that, if we were going to go pie in the sky, obviously it'd be anybody in the top five. Cunningham, Mobley. And I said we don't need fours and five, but if we were to get Evan Mobley, I would make an exception. That boy is going to be good. He really is going to be good. Just like last year, we talked about the kid that was also at USC. I forgot his name, but Atlanta drafted him. And I told you he's the best big in the draft. And he's killing them right now in the playoffs. I mean, and he's only 19. So that's what I'm talking about. I think Mobley is in that class, so I would make an exception for him. I really would, because I think he's going to be that good. And I love Mitchell Robinson. I'm not trading Mitchell Robinson now, but it'd be good to have an understudy like Mobley, man. I ain't gonna front. But anybody in the top five, Cunningham, Mobley, Suggs, Green, Kuminga, they'll make you change your plans because these guys are good. Okay. Now, Kuminga, like I said, he's going to need a little bit more time, a little bit more patience. He's not ready for the big time right now. One more year in the G League and he will be. But Jalen Green, come over here, young man. So we can get one of this pie in the sky. I'm happy with that. But other than that, there's nobody blowing me away that we just got to trade up to get. I like to stay where we at and get a Jared Butler or Ayu Dosunmu. I like those two guys. Okay. Of course, you will let me know what you think. Knicks Nation is not shy to tell me. But please don't come with all of these guys that we don't need. Fours and fives, aside from Mobley, we don't need them. Okay. And if they can't move their feet on defense, forget about it. They're not going to play for Tom Thibodeau. All right. So, shalom. Have a good Thursday.